kcisthetown.com. These are the do's and don'ts of Kansas City. First, I'm going to start with the don'ts. Don't meet up with anyone to buy anything unless you're in a safe location, like inside of a store. And 12 also has destinations where you can meet up with strangers to buy things off Facebook, social media, and Craigslist. Don't be outside after 9 p.m. After 9 p.m., the streets become more dangerous. The later it gets, the more dangerous it gets. Don't call Kansas City, Kansas, especially if you're from out of town. KC natives don't like when you call Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas. It's disrespectful. Don't say, KC got nasty barbecue. That's all we got is barbecue and sports. And we hate to hear anyone say anything bad about either one of them. Don't go downtown or to Independence Avenue unless you really have to. Those are very bad areas to walk around in. The crime is very high in those areas. It's a lot of addicts, poverty, homelessness, and strange people walking around downtown and on Independence Avenue. If you're black, don't go to the plaza to hang out. They don't want black people hanging out in the plaza. They closed down the hamburger spot and the movie theater because young black people was hanging out in and around those businesses on the weekends. Don't say anything bad about the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City natives don't like when people talk bad about the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes. Some people will blick you for talking like that. So, be careful what you say about the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes when you're in KC. Don't be outside standing around or loitering with nothing to do. Don't be hanging on the block talking to the guys because people will walk up or drive up and have the element of surprise. Everybody blicking in KC, so you gotta stay on your guard. Don't hang out in front of the club. You should always leave the club at least 45 minutes before it closes, because if you wait until the club closes and you hanging out in front of the club, or you can't get out because everybody else is pulling out, and you end up getting shot because everybody in the parking lot think they're King Von and Chief Keef in an action movie. Don't be drunk or high if you're not in the house, because people will take advantage of you and do whatever they want to do to you because you put yourself in a weak position. If you're black, don't get caught outside of Jackson County. If 12 catch you breaking laws outside of Jackson County, you ain't never getting out. I don't care what you did. They tend to keep black people in prison indefinitely outside of Jackson County. KC is the only progressive part of Missouri. The rest of Missouri is super country. When you leave out of KC, it's like going back to 1950. It's like the Andy Griffin Show. Everywhere outside of Jackson County. Missouri is a very racist state. Jackson County is super racist, but it's the least racist place in Missouri. If you go to court in Missouri, a majority of the time, you'll get an all-white racist jury. Black people really have it hard in Missouri, so be aware of that if you plan on living or visiting Kansas City. Don't go to the gas stations in the hood. Gas stations in Kansas City in the hood are very dangerous. It's too many people thugging and bumming in KC to stop in the hood for gas. Don't go shopping at Independence Mall. People be blicking in that mall on the regular. Plus, you don't want to get caught being black in Independence. It's very racist there. Don't drive on Prospect. Prospect is over-policed. 12 is always on Prospect, so if you want to avoid 12 or you don't want someone crashing into your car with no insurance, stay off Prospect. Don't walk around. Don't be walking around like Kansas City is safe. It's not. Gun violence is at an all-time high in KC, so be very cautious when you walk anywhere in KC. It's been several times I've almost been ran over just for walking around in KC. Don't catch the bus if you're in Kansas City. People will roll up, blick you just for standing on the bus stop. People in KC act like you don't matter if you're standing at the bus stop. People will hit you while you're standing on the bus stop and keep driving. So I suggest you get a car or have a ride if you plan on living in Kansas City. Don't go to sideshows. Sideshows are super hot right now. 12 is focused on shutting down all sideshows and street races. Next, they're gonna start taking cars and not giving them back. They ain't playing about stopping the sideshows and street races. 12 taking hella people to jail for sideshows and street races, so be careful out there. Don't hang out in Westport at night on the weekends. If you ain't ready to blick or get blicked, don't be out there at night hanging out if you ain't about no action. If you're black, don't go to the Power and Light district. They don't want black people down there. And the clubs aren't real clubs. They're like hole-in-the-wall whiskey bars with nobody in them. Don't go to any strip clubs. We don't have real strippers or strip clubs in Kansas City. Most of the strippers in KC are fent heads and drug addicts. It's pathetic. Most of the strippers in KC are from Independence Avenue. They be having bullet wounds, skin lesions, and cigarette burns on their bodies. I recommend avoiding all strip clubs in Kansas City. Don't go to the Boat. It's fake gambling. It ain't nothing like Vegas. All the casino games are designed for you to lose your money. Don't nobody be winning money at the Boat for real. Don't be mugging people. Don't be walking around thinking you're the toughest person in the world, mugging and staring at everybody you see without speaking. That type of behavior will have you funking with random strangers. Don't go to house parties. Almost all house parties in KC end with somebody blicking or multiple people getting shot. You gotta be very careful attending house parties in KC. Don't mess with anything but za, because everything else probably has fent in it. People be overdosing on the daily. If you're messing with anything besides za, it's just a matter of time before you get some fent, then it's game over. Don't go to the club. You raise your chances of becoming a crime statistic if you go to the club every weekend. Everybody got a blick. Everybody in the parking lot think they're a gun-toting mob boss. It be people in the club starting beef just to blick somebody. It's wild. You can get deleted by accident in a Kansas City club. Don't say you run KC if you're not from KC. Joe Blow tried that and it didn't end well for him, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. Here are the do's of living and visiting Kansas City. Support black-owned businesses in Kansas City. Be sure to support black-owned businesses if you live in Kansas City or if you're visiting Kansas City. Support black-owned banks in Kansas City. Liberty Bank is a great black-owned bank, and they tend to be overly fair to black people that want to do business with them. They're also one of the largest black-owned financial institutions in the U.S. Buy some barbecue or soul food when you're in Kansas City. KC has some of the best barbecue and soul food in the U.S. I recommend Gates and Niecy's. Get you a real ID so you can jet out of KC when you want to have something fun to do, because it's not much to do in the 816. Have a quality coat because it gets very cold in KC, and buy you a quality umbrella because it rains a lot too. Know how to drive in the snow, rain, and ice, because if you're living in KC, you'll be dealing with constant storms and bad weather. Keep a blick with you at all times, 24/7. KC has a vicious homicide rate. It's the most dangerous place in the US besides STL. Per capita, when it comes to homicides, KC is number 2. KC has the highest increase of homicides in the US. So be very cautious and careful if you're coming through KC. And I'm talking KC, not Grandview or Raytown or any small town or rural area in Missouri. Nothing of any significance happens outside of the KC, Jackson County area. People be in Blue Springs or Raytown or Lee Summit talking about they're in KC. That is not Kansas City. Look at the map and tell me what it say before you claim to live in KC. It's not many things for black people to do in Kansas City. If you're black and living in KC or visiting KC, you're probably hella bored. Besides eating, there's not much to do in KC. Work or own a business if you're not retired. I recommend owning a business or working somewhere if you're in KC unless you're retired or on a fixed income. If you're black and you're in Kansas City, I recommend owning your own business. Mind your own business, especially in public places. The safest thing to do while you're in KC is mind your own business, especially in public areas. Let 12 handle the situation. Don't be trying to be no hero, and you'll make it home safely. Have 24/7 internet access. The internet is the only thing to do in Kansas City. Most of the streets look abandoned because everybody stays in the house on social media all day. Respect everyone, and most of the times they will respect you back and you won't have any problems in KC. But if you get disrespectful, KC can be even more disrespectful in return. There's way more don'ts than do's in Kansas City. So overall, Kansas City is very boring, especially if you're black, because it limits the places you can go and the things you can do. We used to be able to go to Swope Park and Prospect on the weekends and show off our cars and wealth. But 12 is racist and they don't like black people having fun. So they literally made people stop hanging out on Prospect and Swope Park. Prospect used to be like Crenshaw on the Boys in the Hood movie every weekend, but they stopped us from meeting up there or anywhere else in the city. All right, I'm out of here.